Hi folks, this is the second part of the photo theory on how to calculate an approximately correct camera exposure without using a light meter. And this is what I call the bedrock of exposure theory. So if we can learn the F16 rule or learn basic daylight exposure, that's going to make some of the other calculations in the future and your understanding of light and exposure much easier. So in your free textbook, the one that you can access with the going to the files and looking for the free textbook, you're going to find a piece of paper that is labeled on the side BDE, and it's from Brooks Institute, which is a very famous West Coast photo school, not in operation anymore, but they did a wonderful job of teaching photography. Now this is a detailed version of all different kinds of situations that you might run into without your light meter or without your camera's help, and it will help you to get an approximate idea of what f-stops and what shutter speeds to use. I would like you to look that up and maybe even print it, fold it up, and put it in your camera bag. This very top portion, it says page 11 on the bottom of it. This very top portion does exactly what we did in the last video. It talks about using f16 at 1 over the ISO. Now, we talked about standard lens openings. We talked about that at one of the earlier videos. And we never talked about standard shutter speeds. And today we're going to use both of those. So let's talk about standard shutter speeds. I have my old Canon A1. It's a nice old camera. And if you look up here on the top, you will find all sorts of numbers, and those numbers are not f-stops. The f-stop numbers are up here on the lens, and the shutter speed numbers are over here. On your digital camera, you will see a box in your LCD readout that says shutter and another one that says aperture. Okay, so I'm just going to use this old camera because it has dials on it. So I'm looking at the dials and I'm reading 1, 2, 4, 8. Okay, 1, 2, 4, 8. Do you see a pattern there? 1, 2, 4, 8. The first time we talked about apertures, I said to remember that photography works in halves and doubles. So let's put down these first numbers, 1, 2, 4, and 8. By the way, even though they don't show it on the readout, these are the fractions. So over the top of each one of these, just insert on your own that these are fractions of a second. 1 over 1 is a full second. 1 over 2 is a half and a quarter. Okay, so now I pick up my camera and I look at the other end of the scale, and if I turn it around, I will see 1,000, 500, 250, and 125. It's the same pattern, right? It's halves. So let's start over here on this side of the paper and write 1,000, 500, 250, and 125. Again, those are all with a 1 over the top of them. They're all fractions. Okay, now on really old cameras, you will see 1 over 16 and 1 over 32. That was something that happened in the 1920s and the 1930s. Some camera maker decided to clean up those funny little numbers and make them easier to read. So I call this middle zone here kind of like the Twilight Zone because something happened. So 1, 2, 4, 8. Mathematically, it should say 16, but no, it is now 15, not 16. And then the next number is not 32, it is 30. And the next number is 60. So, photography works in halves and doubles for standard shutter speeds, okay? These are from 1 to 1,000, and the rule holds except for this area right in here where you have to trim things down a little bit.